The Unstoppable Journey. How Jack Ma built Alibaba from nothing and changed the world. What if I told you that one of the world's richest men was rejected from KFC, failed his college entrance exam twice, and was turned down by Harvard 10 times? What if I told you this same man couldn't even get a job as a police officer because he wasn't qualified enough? You'd probably think I was talking about someone who gave up on their dreams. But you'd be wrong. This is the incredible story of Jack Ma, the man who built Alibaba into a $400 billion empire and became one of the most influential entrepreneurs of our time. Jack Ma's story isn't just about business success. It's about resilience, vision, and the power of never giving up when everyone else tells you that you're not good enough. It's about how an English teacher from a small city in China transformed not just his own life, but the entire landscape of global commerce. And today, I'm going to take you through every twist, every turn, every failure, and every breakthrough that led to his extraordinary success. But here's what makes Jack Ma's story so remarkable. He didn't have connections. He didn't have money. He didn't even understand technology when he started his internet company. What he had was something far more powerful, something that you have access to right now, sitting wherever you are watching this video. He had an unshakable belief in his vision and the determination to keep moving forward when everything seemed impossible. Let me paint you a picture of where this all began. It's 1964 in Hangzhou, China. Jack Ma is born into a world that's nothing like the China we know today. There's no internet, no smartphones, no global connectivity. His family isn't wealthy. His father is a traditional musician and photographer, and his mother is a housewife. They live in a small apartment, and like millions of other Chinese families, they're just trying to get by. But even as a child, Jack Ma was different. Not because he was the smartest kid in class, because he wasn't. Not because he was the most talented, because he definitely wasn't. He was different because he was curious about the world beyond his small city. And he was willing to do whatever it took to explore that world. When Jack was 12 years old, he made a decision that would change the trajectory of his entire life. He decided he wanted to learn English. Now, this might not sound revolutionary to you, but in 1970s, China, learning English was almost unheard of. There were no English classes in most schools, no English teachers, no textbooks. But Jack Ma had heard that tourists from English-speaking countries visited Hangzhou, and he had an idea. Every single morning for 9 years, Jack Ma would wake up early and ride his bicycle to the Hangzhou hotel. He would wait outside for foreign tourists, and when they appeared, he would approach them and offer to be their free tour guide in exchange for English conversation. Can you imagine the courage that took? A young Chinese boy approaching complete strangers, offering his services for free, just for the chance to practice a language that most people in his country had never even heard spoken. Some tourists ignored him. Others thought he was trying to scam them. But some said yes, and Jack Ma would spend hours walking around Hangzhou with these visitors, showing them the sights, learning about their countries, and slowly, word by word, mastering the English language. He did this for 9 years. 9 years of waking up early, riding his bike across town, facing rejection, and never giving up. This wasn't just about learning English. This was Jack Ma's first lesson in entrepreneurship. Though he didn't know it at the time, he was learning how to approach strangers, how to add value to their lives, how to persist through rejection, and how to build relationships with people from completely different backgrounds. These skills would become the foundation of everything he accomplished later. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Despite all this effort, despite his dedication to learning English, Jack Ma was still struggling academically. When it came time for the college entrance exam, he failed, not just once, but twice. The first time, he scored 19 points out of 120 in mathematics. The second time, he scored 89. Most people would have given up. Most people would have accepted that college wasn't meant for them. But Jack Ma wasn't most people. He took the exam a third time, and this time he passed. Just barely. He was accepted into Hangzhou Normal University, not to study business or technology, but to become an English teacher. And you know what? He embraced it completely. He threw himself into his studies, became student body president, and graduated as an outstanding student. After graduation, Jack Ma became an English teacher at Hangzhou Dianzi University. He was making about $12 a month, which was actually a decent salary for a teacher in China at that time. He loved teaching, he was good at it, and by all accounts, he could have had a comfortable, stable career in education. But comfort and stability weren't enough for Jack Ma. He had bigger dreams. In 1995, Jack Ma took a trip to Seattle that would change his life forever. He was working as an interpreter for a Chinese delegation, and while he was there, a friend introduced him to something called the Internet. Remember, this was 1995. Most people in the world had never heard of the Internet, let alone used it. In China, it was virtually non-existent. Jack's friend showed him how to search for information online, and Jack Ma decided to search for China. Do you know what he found? Almost nothing. No Chinese websites, no information about Chinese businesses, no way for the rest of the world to learn about what was happening in his country. And in that moment, Jack Ma saw an opportunity that would define the rest of his life. He returned to China with a vision. He was going to bring the Internet to Chinese businesses. He was going to connect China with the world. There was just one problem. He had no idea how the Internet actually worked. He couldn't write code. He didn't understand servers. He knew nothing about web development. But he had something more important than technical knowledge. He had vision, and he had the ability to inspire others to believe in that vision. Jack Ma gathered 17 friends in his apartment in 1999. He stood in front of them and painted a picture of the future. He told them about a world where Chinese manufacturers could sell their products to customers anywhere on the globe. He told them about small businesses that could compete with giant corporations. He told them about an internet platform that would revolutionize commerce, not just in China, but everywhere. His friends thought he was crazy. The internet was still new. Most Chinese people didn't even own computers. And the idea of buying things online seemed absurd. But something about Jack Ma's passion, something about his absolute certainty that this was the future, convinced them to take a leap of faith. 18 people pooled their money together, came up with $60,000, and started Alibaba in Jack Ma's apartment. The early days were brutal. They were competing with established international companies that had more money, more technology, and more experience. They faced skepticism from potential customers who didn't trust online transactions. They dealt with investors who didn't understand their vision. There were months when they weren't sure they could make payroll, times when it seemed like the whole venture might collapse. But Jack Ma had learned something important during those 9 years of approaching tourists outside the Hangzhou hotel. He had learned that persistence, combined with genuine value creation, eventually wins. So instead of trying to copy what American internet companies were doing, he focused on understanding what Chinese businesses actually needed. Chinese manufacturers had amazing products, but they had no way to reach international markets. Small business owners had great ideas, but they couldn't compete with big companies that had huge marketing budgets. Consumers wanted access to more variety, but they were limited to what was available in their local stores. Alibaba wasn't just building a website, they were solving real problems for real people. The breakthrough came in 2003 when they launched Taobao, a consumer-focused platform that would compete directly with eBay. At the time, eBay was the dominant player in Chinese e-commerce, and most people thought Jack Ma was insane to challenge them. eBay had more money, more technology, and they were already established in the market. But Jack Ma understood something that eBay didn't. Chinese consumers weren't just price sensitive. They were relationship sensitive. They wanted to communicate with sellers. They wanted to build trust. They wanted to feel like they were part of a community. So while eBay charged fees for listings and limited communication between buyers and sellers, Taobao made everything free and encouraged interaction. They also introduced innovations that seem obvious now, but were revolutionary at the time. They created Alipay, an escrow service that held buyers' payments until they confirmed they were satisfied with their purchases. This solved the trust problem that was keeping many people from shopping online. They introduced seller ratings and buyer reviews, creating transparency that had never existed in Chinese commerce before. The strategy worked brilliantly. Within just a few years, Taobao had completely overtaken eBay in China. eBay, despite their resources and experience, eventually gave up and left the Chinese market. But Jack Ma wasn't satisfied with just winning in China. He had a bigger vision. He started expanding Alibaba's services. They launched Tmall for established brands, Alibaba Cloud for computing services, and Ant Financial for digital payments. They weren't just an e-commerce company anymore. They were building an entire ecosystem of services that supported digital commerce. But here's what I find most impressive about Jack Ma's approach. Even as Alibaba was growing rapidly, even as he was becoming incredibly wealthy, he never lost sight of his original mission. He wasn't just trying to build a profitable company. He was trying to empower small businesses and individual entrepreneurs. He wanted to democratize commerce, to give everyone the tools they needed to participate in the global economy. This philosophy attracted incredible talent to Alibaba. The best engineers, the smartest business minds, the most creative marketers all wanted to be part of something that was bigger than just making money. They were building infrastructure for the future, creating opportunities for millions of people, changing the way the world did business. In 2014, Alibaba went public on the New York Stock Exchange, in what was, at the time, the largest IPO in history. They raised $25 billion, and Jack Ma's personal stake in the company made him one of the richest people in Asia. But even at that moment of ultimate triumph, Jack Ma stayed focused on the future. He continued to invest in new technologies, new markets, and new ways to serve customers. He expanded Alibaba's international presence, launched new initiatives in artificial intelligence and cloud computing, and continued to advocate for small businesses and entrepreneurs around the world. But Jack Ma's success story isn't just about business accomplishments. It's about the principles and mindset that made those accomplishments possible. Throughout his journey, he demonstrated several key traits that anyone can develop and apply to their own life. First, he embraced failure as a learning opportunity. Every rejection, every setback, every disappointment taught him something valuable. When KFC rejected his application, when Harvard turned him down multiple times, when investors said no to his ideas, he didn't see these as reflections of his worth as a person. He saw them as information he could use to improve and adapt. Second, he focused on adding value to others rather than just pursuing his own interests. Whether he was giving free tours to tourists, teaching English to students, or building platforms for small businesses, Jack Ma always asked how he could make other people's lives better. This mindset attracted opportunities, relationships, and resources that pure self-interest never could have. Third, he maintained a long-term perspective even when facing short-term challenges. Building Alibaba took years of struggle, uncertainty, and gradual progress. There were countless moments when giving up would have been easier and more rational. But Jack Ma understood that meaningful success requires patience, persistence, and the willingness to delay gratification. Fourth, he surrounded himself with people who shared his vision and complemented his skills. Jack Ma knew he wasn't a technical expert, so he hired brilliant engineers. He knew he wasn't a financial expert, so he brought in experienced business managers. He understood that success is a team sport, and he focused on building the best possible team. Fifth, he stayed curious and adaptable throughout his journey. The internet landscape changed rapidly during Alibaba's growth, and Jack Ma constantly evolved his strategies and approaches. He didn't get attached to specific tactics or methods. He stayed focused on his core mission while remaining flexible about how to achieve it. These principles aren't unique to Jack Ma, and they're not dependent on special circumstances or lucky breaks. They're mindsets and behaviors that anyone can develop and apply. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to approach strangers and risk rejection in order to learn and grow? Are you willing to take tests multiple times until you pass? Are you willing to work for years on something that might not succeed? Are you willing to focus on serving others even when you're not sure how it will benefit you? Success stories like Jack Ma's are inspiring, but they're also challenging. They force us to confront the gap between where we are and where we want to be. They make us question whether we're really doing everything we can to pursue our dreams, or whether we're making excuses and playing it safe. The truth is that most people never achieve extraordinary success because they're not willing to do extraordinary things. They're not willing to face the level of uncertainty, rejection, and delayed gratification that breakthrough achievements require. They want the results without the process, the destination without the journey. But Jack Ma's story proves that extraordinary things are possible for ordinary people who are willing to commit to extraordinary effort and persistence. He wasn't born with special advantages. He didn't have connections or capital. He didn't even have relevant expertise when he started. What he had was clarity about what he wanted to achieve and unwavering determination to keep moving forward regardless of obstacles. Today, Alibaba serves hundreds of millions of customers, supports millions of businesses, and has fundamentally changed how commerce works in China and around the world. Jack Ma's personal net worth has fluctuated with market conditions and his various business activities. But his impact on the world of business and technology is undeniable. More importantly, his story has inspired countless entrepreneurs, especially in developing countries, to believe that they too can build something significant. He's shown that you don't need to be in Silicon Valley or have an MBA from Harvard to create world-changing technology companies. You need vision, determination, and the willingness to serve others. Jack Ma has also become a prominent advocate for education, environmental protection, and entrepreneurship development. Through the Jack Ma Foundation, he's investing in programs that support teachers, fund educational initiatives, and promote entrepreneurship in underserved communities. He's using his success as a platform to address some of the world's biggest challenges. But perhaps the most important lesson from Jack Ma's journey is this: your current circumstances don't determine your future possibilities. The English teacher from Hangzhou who couldn't get hired by KFC became one of the most successful entrepreneurs in history, not because his circumstances changed, but because he changed his approach to his circumstances. He stopped seeing limitations as permanent barriers and started seeing them as temporary challenges. He stopped waiting for perfect conditions and started creating value with whatever resources he had available. He stopped focusing on what he couldn't control and started maximizing what he could influence. This is the mindset that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. It's not about having special talents or lucky breaks. It's about developing the mental frameworks and behavioral patterns that compound over time into remarkable results. So as we wrap up this incredible journey through Jack Ma's life, I want you to ask yourself some important questions. What dreams have you been putting off because you think you're not qualified enough? What opportunities have you avoided because you're afraid of rejection or failure? What value could you create for others if you stopped focusing on your own limitations and started focusing on other people's needs? Jack Ma's story isn't just entertainment, it's a blueprint. It's a detailed map showing exactly how someone with no special advantages can build something extraordinary through persistence, service, and strategic thinking. The path he took is available to anyone willing to walk it. The question isn't whether you have what it takes to succeed. Jack Ma's story proves that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. The question is whether you're willing to do what it takes. Are you ready to start your own journey from nothing to everything? If this story inspired you, if it changed how you think about what's possible for your own life, then do me a favor. Share this video with someone who needs to hear Jack Ma's message. Leave a comment telling me about your own entrepreneurial dreams and the first step you're going to take toward making them reality. And make sure to subscribe, because I'll be sharing more incredible success stories that prove what's possible when you combine vision with relentless execution. Remember, every empire starts with a single step, every fortune begins with a single decision, and every extraordinary life starts with an ordinary person who refuses to accept ordinary results. Jack Ma took his first step when he was 12 years old, riding his bike to meet foreign tourists. What step will you take today? Your success story is waiting to be written. The only question is, when will you start writing it?